All right, we have a quorum now, so we'll call the meeting to order. Let's do the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are you recording?
Yes, they started out to play.
Yeah, that makes me like. I was thinking of you with that.
So the next on the list is approval of the March 6th, 2025 meeting minutes. If there's no changes or anything, can I have a motion for that?
I make a motion to approve. Maya Gray.
Dr.
I'll
Gray,
second.
Dr. Delaney seconds. All in favor, just raise your hand or give a thumbs up. Perfect. Correspondence, DOH enforcement list.
So, people were just commenting it wasn't very big, but we just met in February, so that's part of it. So, case 2024-0061, 2025-0124, and 2024-0011. Fionn Rierens, Ticorelli, Michael Gonzalez, and Ivan Abdullah from New York, Ozone Park, and Binghamton. I figured he must have been all on the same call. 800.3 AP, patient abuse, all surrendered effective 3/6 of 25. 4/2 of 25, 2023-0134, Mark Jeffries II from Jamaica, New York. 800.16 A7, procured or attempted to procure certification or recertification through deceit or fraud. Surrendered or suspended for 1 year, suspension stayed pending no further violation with 3 years probation and assessed a $500 civil penalty.
That's all we got. Woo.
Didn't take me long to type it, I had to look it up.
Air medical reports. I'll let Matt go first and then Colleen is here and she.
Okay, so we'll see you at Spring Fling this weekend. I'll be there doing an instructor update and then teaching, but I'll be at the booth the rest of the weekend. Our Spring Education Day comes up on May 30th. The registration's open. It's in Bristol. That's kind of a hike for here, but the fall one is on the schedule for October 3rd at Brandon. So if you like to come to that one, just pencil in your time. The one thing I did want to bring forward because of the quality assurance, the QA/QI side of the world that I work in at Mercy Flight, we did do a scene flight out of the town of Watertown where we met up. I believe it was with Carthage Rescue, actually, in a positive sense. Initially, it was thought to be potentially a stroke or neuro patient in general. Turned out to be sepsis. The crew did a significant amount of work, fluid resuscitating and then stabilizing with vasoactives and intubating, got to upstate. When I did the closed loop with CareLink on the other side of the upstate, the official admission diagnosis was septic shock with acute liver failure.
Wow.
So it was a good call on the ambulance side of things to move towards a larger hospital, i.e. via helicopter EMS, which full loop closure worked out well. It was, I believe it was Carthage Rescue, so Amanda's gang over there, and then town of Watertown's where they landed, and upstate's where they ended up. So positive side, originally thought to be potentially a stroke type patient from like nursing home setting, but ended up being actually an acutely ill, gravely ill septic patient. And it worked out in their favor anyway. So I figured I'd bring that back to you guys.
Would you, when you get a chance, would you go on our website and fill out the excellence in EMS so we could recognize that crew?
Yeah, let me make a note of that actually. This is a good call for them.
Because we, we're quick to get with people when they don't do so well, and we've got to do better about recognizing when they do well. We have that form right there. We have pins, and that way we could recognize that crew for a job well done.
Yeah.
Colleen?
Hi. I will share the numbers a little later. I've got them, but I haven't put them together. I brought the bags for Spring Fling.
Thank you.
And, yeah, we're looking forward to Spring Fling. So
And did you bring the games or?
I'm gonna bring them on Thursday when I come up.
Awesome.
Yep, so I've got all the games.
Perfect.
Okay.
Any questions for Matt or Colleen? Ella, do you have anything you want to chime in with? Okay.
That's strictly your opinion.
Moving into old business.
True story.
So I sent out the protocol change logs to everybody. We need a motion from the REMAC to continue with the collaborative protocols. And move forward with that. Or else it's to the drawing board and creating our own protocols. And I don't want to do that.
I'll make a motion to support the collaborative protocols.
Seconded by Dr. Howland, all in favor?
So Amanda already asked me to go on to my, DuoNev training that I put together last year when the advanced providers got that. And I'll make the changes to basic EMT, so we'll have that all set to go for them, so.
And then we're gonna, out of the office, create a training that just does the overview of the changes. There's really, other than iGel coming in, but there's already an iGel training for BLS providers that's on the learning management system. So we'll just do it as a protocol update,
Essentially,
essentially.
navigation of protocol changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quality Corner Committee. We don't have an update. I know, Melissa and Amanda have been in conversation about diving into some different things. I just think they're trying to figure out what direction to go. Yeah. And then the next one is the medical director MOU and CQI policy. So that was sent out to everybody. I can pull it up and screen share if you want. For the CQI policy, the big issue that we had there, and it's why the state, I think, has been cracking down on regions' abilities to credential, decredential, and all of that, is that there's really no process for appealing a suspension by the region. So we have reworked the quality improvement policy to add that the regional continuous quality improvement committee would serve as an appeals body for any decisions that were made by an agency medical director, the system medical director, or the program agency. And then at the end of it, we also added that when a provider operates under multiple agencies, the agency medical directors will collaborate and share relevant information regarding a patient care concern to ensure consistency and a unified approach to any remediation or corrective actions that would be taken. Because at the end of the day, really the power rests with you as agency medical directors. That is the state's new stance on this, so that's just us trying to toe the line, but still ensure that we have quality providers that are running here in the North Country, and that we have some kind of regional oversight over them. Because I fear for a system that we don't have that oversight. Decisions and recommendations, all it did was add the appeals process, and then it actually adds a formal appeals process into the CQI policy. So if you're all good with that, we need a motion from a doc in a second. And Dr. Howland makes a motion. Dr. Maynard or Delaney, whoever you want to write down, Lindsay. Seconds, all in favor? Perfect. So the next thing that we have under this too is the agreement for credentialing and decredentialing EMS providers. So this would be an agreement with the agency medical director, not the agency specific, because that's where we ran into some hurdles last time. This would be between agency medical directors and the system medical director and the REMAC and the program agency. To credential providers that are running with your agencies and theoretically be able to use your authority to decredential that provider if the circumstances warranted with your information, you would be fully in the loop on it. I did send that out to everybody too. Does anybody have any comments, questions, concerns?
We kind of went, we kind of went to this because we remember we tried to do it at the agency level and we had too many agencies that wouldn't sign it. They felt that we were overstepping our boundary and didn't like it. So our hands have really been tied and we've had some pretty serious CQI. So we've had no choice but to kick things up to the state. And our goal is always to try to handle it locally if we can and not have it go to that level. And this would allow us to do that rather than kick everything to the state side. We have somebody that is looking to come back online that had some egregious problems. And we kicked it to the state and he's been out of the loop for what, almost a year?
Yep.
And now he's looking to come back on and the state still hasn't dealt with the issue. So we have no recourse that we can do because our hands have been tied. So this is gonna allow us to kind of handle things.
Well, and the problem with the state's approach on CQI issues too, is it's a lot more punitive than it is education based. So if we're handling it here at the regional level, we can develop a good remediation program and put that provider through it. And then instead of finding that provider and sending them back out on the street, we're actually building them into a better provider, which in turn protects the agency medical director because now they don't have somebody who's a liability working for them. I don't know, I asked the REMAC if they have any questions or concerns about this, or if they just want to go with it.
I'll make a motion to support it.
Motion to support it, do we have a second?
Second,
Either Dr. Maynard or Howland or Dr. Gray, I think they all chimed in. All in favor?
Matt's walking around, he just gave us a thumbs up when he walked past the screen.
Thank you. Okay, program agency update. This is gonna be super short.
We did great.
We did stuff. Not a whole lot, because it's only been a month. So IGEL project is the same as it was before. We don't have any new agencies, but we have been reached out to by a handful of agencies that want to start the process sooner than the July 1st go live date with the new protocols. So we're helping navigate them through that. We're still waiting on more information too regarding the demo project for glucagon that's coming out of the Suffolk County region, but that should be coming by the July 1st deadline. So and we'll have a process.
So
there.
Jonathan, when the IGEL goes live, that can be first responder departments as well, as long as they're equipped with capnography, correct?
Correct.
So if they don't have capnography, we found a couple online, they were like $300 or $400 to buy just the
For the
capnography.
waveform, it has to be continuous waveform.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay,
Yeah.
so we gotta make sure we explain what continuous waveform is to these.
Be the number.
Because I mean, there's color metrics out there, there's the little printers that we used to use back when we first started using it, but, yeah, they're garbage. But I believe to what I understood, it has to be continuous waveform.
So we just gotta make sure, 'cause there's a lot of first responder agencies that are interested, we just gotta make sure they know what they gotta do.
EMT level.
Correct.
We're both, okay.
BLS adjuncts, we didn't have any come in because it's only been a month. CQI initiative, so in January, we did 21 agencies, 10 in the North Country, 11 in Mountain Lakes. 100 charts reviewed, 50-50 North Country, Mountain Lakes. There was one agency selected with no chart updates, and we're actually working with the state to rectify that now. They're actually a Vermont agency. So it's navigating the data coming from Vermont into the New York system and going against the two schematrons, and it's a lot. We'll get there eventually. It's not a North Country problem, it's a Mountain Lakes problem. And we sent 11 charts to agency medical directors for further review. In February, 22 agencies, 10 in the North Country, 12 Mountain Lakes, 97 charts reviewed, 46 and 51 respectively. With one agency with no charts, it's the same one again. And then March, 23 agencies, 7 in the North Country, 16 in Mountain Lakes. 103 charts reviewed, 30 and 73 respectively. 2 agencies selected with no chart uploads. They've also been forwarded to the state to see what the issue is. Again, we're still seeing, our Q1 deficiencies overall of no focused assessment. Where she calls the complete assessment, but it's not a focused assessment on what the actual,
Body system.
yes. But outside of that, things actually have started to trend a little bit better outside of spelling and grammar being absolutely atrocious. And
That's crazy stuff.
I know. And the other big thing that we're seeing too, I'll bounce back to this real quick, is we're seeing a lot of providers documenting outside of their scope of skill. So BLS providers documenting interventions that are being performed by a paramedic or a higher level of care, and that is a huge legal liability on them and the agency and essentially their agency medical director, because they're operating outside of their scope is what it looks like. They may not be doing the skills, but at the end of the day, as a BLS provider, you're not trained to do that, so you should not be documenting what they're doing, because you might be right, but you could also be very wrong, and now your charts conflict, and it's a whole shit show, essentially. So, we have a new training that Amanda and I, have developed that is pretty customizable to some different documentation, scenarios. And so, she did it at the Lewis County Education Day and spoke to the whole documenting outside of your scope. And yeah,
It was a great, I will say it was a great presentation. The wrong crowd was there.
Way wrong.
Unfortunately, the target ones weren't, but I will say that she did a phenomenal job with it, even though I heckled her from the crowd. We had a lot of fun with it.
I paid her for that, or paid him for that.
Yeah, it was cash.
So training's coming up. We have Spring Fling, which is this coming week, the 10th through the 12th. We have 114 registered. I told Debbie not to panic, we'd get over 100, and we got there in the last week. I think we had probably 40 people register in the last week, so that's really good. Do you have anything you want to add to that, Deb?
I think, we get through this weekend that, hopefully maybe we'll start a little, start next month working on next year. Next year is our 25th. And, I think we really need to continue to promote a local conference. And that the education and training that we offer to the local community and, work on promoting that. I'm just gonna look up, I have the dates for next year. I confirmed it with, Janine. April 16th, 17th, and 18th is next year's. We work around when spring break is and all that, so we are confirmed, up there. For next year at Edgewood again.
And then we have the Fall EMS Education Day, which is November 1st, 2025. It'll be at North Country Community College. We're starting our planning of that and getting speakers lined up for it. And then our big one, after Spring Fling, will be Saturday, May 17th. It's gonna be Fort Drum EMS Day. This is a really, really great training opportunity. I have, invited some of the higher mucky mucks at the state to come and participate in the day, not to come and speak, but to actually come and participate, and see the quality of education, that their regional program agency is, putting on, and see the value that program agencies provide to the EMS system. Yeah, I'll get off my soapbox on that. So if anybody wants to come to that, that's when it is. There's a QR code for it, or you can get with me after the meeting and I'll send you the link for registration. So Amanda's our pet coordinator. There's no differences there. Next state meetings are in May. At a really bougie hotel,
It's gonna be great.
take us to golf clubs.
It's virtual on Monday.
Yeah.
Are you?
It's at
And
the
people book a tea time
Gideon.
for us. And we're all gonna be
I was just like good when they're meeting in there.
Yep,
and get around in what program meetings we need in.
That's not, I think that bad.
And so maybe after systems, we'll play up and around it.
Yep. So that's all I have for the program agency. Does anybody have any questions for me? Things you have done or seen? If not,
How about this confusing medicine?
oh, sugar, yep. I forgot one thing. We need to update our refusal policy. That was sent out to everybody as well. Don't remember.
1101?
Oh, yep, and it just basically models it after, Melrems's, the Monroe Livingston's policy. Is there anything highlighted in there? That's a big change. Okay, I haven't. Alright. Adds the definition of kind of, who a patient is, which is always a big challenge. So when refusals get challenged, they're like, well, what's your definition of a patient? Well, there's no consistent message of what a patient is put out by the region or even the state for that matter. So that's part of the change, and then it does change just, it models it after the Melrem's. Amanda did all the work on this one.
Jonathan, at the bottom of that, is there a form?
I believe will be the same form as before.
Because when I read that this morning, it says the attached form.
Yeah, the form
And
is
then
not
the
attached.
attachment.
It's the same form.
Okay.
And we also have worked with somebody to get it translated into Spanish. Because we're seeing an uptick in non-English speaking patients. So I don't think it hurts to have the option in both English and Spanish. Might be a little woke, I apologize.
Actually, you're talking about Mike's reading. This one.
Yes. French Canadian, yeah. That's their problem. So can I have a motion to approve the new policy? Dr. Holland, Dr. Delaney seconds, all in favor? That's all I have, new business.
So just to make you aware, Sackett's, fire department has given up their ambulance. They are now gonna do first responder only. And they've answered some calls as first responders, and they actually had a save Saturday night. They went to the local Legion for a person unconscious, making snoring respirations. The sheriff's got there with an AED, defibrillated the person. They got there, started CPR, the person came back, and by the time Guilfoyle was there, the patient was conscious. So, before they weren't answering up at all because nobody wanted to commit to taking the ambulance and going on the call. So, for some reason, they threw me under the bus, and a lot of people from there were calling me, very upset that they no longer had an ambulance, and I explained to them I haven't had an ambulance in over a year. And that I thought their care was gonna be better because they were gonna first responder. So I'm working with them on doing the first responder paperwork for the BLS level. Their certification expires at the end of April. We've been working with the state. The state is aware of this. And then, like I said, we're gonna submit the paperwork and they're going to get their certification as a certified CFR. They get a new agency code and all that. And we're gonna wait a year, see if there's an interest in getting the advance, because if there is, then there's the fee and the CON process and all that. But I really told them at the basic level, with everything you can get and with what's coming, I think you would be fine with that. So we're gonna give it a year. But they've answered, since last week, they've answered four first responder calls. So I think that this is a wise move on their part. So just want to make you folks aware of that.
And then the other new business thing that I have is just kind of old business being rehashed, but to make sure you all are aware that we are now 9 months into no contract for the program agency. So through FDRHPO's generosity, Amanda, Zach, Lindsay, and I are still here. We do have reason to believe that the contract process is finally starting to move again. And the big hangup has been resolved, but we're still probably a solid, even if we got the award letters tomorrow, we would still be a solid 60 to 80 days out before we could, have our actual contract in hand and be able to voucher for all of last year's expenses. So not to pat FDRHPO on the back, but it's because of them that we're still here and able to support the work that the REMSCO does and the REMAC does. And support our providers because they believe that what we do is essential and is needed in the region and that we are that protection buffer for providers to be better. So.
Let them know about once they're closed.
Oh, and the lack of contract has started to affect other program agencies. University of Buffalo closed their program agency effective the end of March. So it is now having real effects on people and their livelihoods. Hopefully Rob and Zach, who work out of the Buffalo office, will be able to land on their feet and be fine, but we're probably about 200,000 in the hole in the state right now.
But the state has been a little proactive and had you guys get paperwork together and get some of that so that
Yeah.
as soon as they get the go ahead, we're not trying to get all that done, but, we still don't have money from the REMSCO. And every time we turn around, then I'm getting another thing. I just had to go on and do some vendor responsibility questionnaire or something, so, to get the $25,000, it's probably cost me $50,000 now, just to do the paperwork and the stuff, it's just ridiculous, but I did the vendor responsibility thing that they wanted, so, hopefully we're ready to voucher, we're just waiting for them to allow us to voucher, so hopefully we'll get, cause we're 3/4 in as well without getting our funds, so.
And there is some talk being led by the New York City REMSCO and program agency of filing an Article 78 injunction against the state because they're violating their own law by not being in a contract with program agencies. So I know Debbie has signed on to it for the North Country REMSCO. FDRHPO was gonna wait until I have a meeting with Albany tomorrow to see where that was and then was gonna bring it up to the board, their board on Wednesday.
Wednesday board meeting, yeah.
Before FDRHPO signs on to it, but
Any of the smaller standalone program agencies won't survive.
no, it's a wonder they've survived this far.
If we were still at Canton, we would have been done.
Yeah.
We would have been done probably after the first quarter.
No question.
It speaks volumes that FDRHPO is taking the burden until it's rectified.
Well, there's a liability there. They could be out this money if,
Yeah. How many agencies are represented by the North Country Program Agency now?
Just shy of 200. And just shy of 2,000 providers.
And to think a lot of that's like vast
mountains.
expanses of the mountain lakes and the North Country with virtually no representation from the state to backfill that if it were to close.
Yep. Fine, everything's fine.
Yeah.
Dumpster fire.
As the dumpster fire rolls down.
So that's all I've got. Does anybody have anything else? Hearing-
Positive note.
On a positive note, next meeting is June 2nd, 2025. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Don't all jump at once. All right, Dr. Howland and Dr. Maynard, all in favor, I'm gonna say yes, and
Yes.
thanks, everybody.